Hello guys, welcome back to another Beer Heroes beer tasting. Today is really exciting because we are doing a Meet the Brewer and tasting at Chapter Brewery.
Welcome to another Beer Heroes beer tasting, and today we're here with Noah, who is the legend behind Chapter Brewing. Chapter Brewing or Chapter Brewery?
Chapter Brewing.
Let's go for the ING. Chapter Brew ING. So thanks for having us, Noah.
You're welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here on your Friday, Saturday tap rooms, which you do every week.
So every week, 12 till 6, we run the tap. Just here, it's just outside. We don't have a huge amount of inside space, but we've got gazebos, and we'll be here every Friday and Saturday.
Awesome stuff, awesome stuff. So Noah, let's go for the boring bit first.
Okay.
Not that it's boring.
But
boring.
okay.
It's not as exciting as drinking beer.
Okay.
How's the chapter started? What's the story behind it?
That's a very exciting story, actually. It is. So, am I meant to be talking to these guys or you?
Well, I know your story, so I think you need to tell the people at home that are listening.
So, the way Chapter started was I used to be an English teacher. I taught for 3 years in and around Liverpool and St Helens. And after spending my half-term holidays helping out a place like Mad Hatter in Liverpool, I decided to go ahead and set up on my own. So we set up the brewery in July 2016, so we're coming up towards our fifth birthday, and we launched in December of 2016. So we've been making beer down here in Sutton Weaver, next to the River Weaver, just in between Frodsham and Runcorn now for the best part of 4.5 years. The idea of the chapter is that all the beers have a literary angle to them. They've all got on the cans, just on the back here, they've got a reading suggestion, which is meant to be just something that if you like the beers and you like the art, then you can go away and look into the piece of literature that inspired the beer, or you can just drink the beer and just like it. You don't have to read anything.
Excellent, good stuff. And I think in terms of Beer Heroes, we've been with you from the start, haven't we, in terms of from the very first beer through to the very last beer. And
you've launched a couple of beers as well.
We've launched a few beers for you as well. And I'm not just saying this because you're sat in front of me. All of Chapter beers are always impressed. There's never been one, sometimes you get breweries trying to knock out something silly and ridiculous. But I think with you guys, you stick to what you did at.
Yeah.
Which comes out in the quality of the beer.
We try and do some things that are a bit silly, like the celery sour, for example, is one that was inspired by the tzatziki sour by Mad Hatter. But the idea for us is to make sure that it's not silly for silly's sake. It's just actually going to still do what it's meant to do, which is slake thirst.
I like that. Yeah. It should be next
slake thirst.
Next sour.
Yeah, right then, done. Deal.
Look out for that one, guys.
So I think we start with let's go with the pale, shall we? Right now.
So guys, this is called Out of Peak. It's Kvike. How would you say it now?
I say Kvike, but I've never actually asked a Norwegian person how to pronounce it, so please prove me wrong.
Excellent. So it's a 5.5% pale.
Yeah, so it was originally a beer that we did with the Liverpool Beer Collective to celebrate the Liverpool Beer Week, I think in 2019 maybe. And we decided that we enjoyed how it come out, but we wanted to give it a little bit more oomph, so we brewed it again, and this time used the Kvike yeast, which gives it a real kind of fruity, pineapple-y, citrus kind of boost.
See, the smell on that is a nice little tartness.
Yeah, I just think that with the Kvike you get this sharp kind of citrus flavour from it. Because you ferment it so warm, it gets all of these kind of interesting, quite distinct yeasty characteristics.
It's got a great little kind of bit peppery, bitterness edge, very clean.
Well, we're using Chinook, which has that kind of slightly spicy thing going on, often a kind of West Coast or a bittering hop, but we use that in the dry hop. And then Amarillo as well, gives it a little bit of orangey flavour, and Azaka, which has got, again, that kind of like citrus forward boost, and a little bit of oat in there to give it kind of roundness in the body. When we brewed it originally, I was kind of pleased how it came out, but adding the spike yeast really elevated it.
Yeah, it's super. It's got that kind of that oaty bit of thickness to it as well.
Yeah, and it's a really good kind of summery pale because it's got that little bit of sharpness that just makes it a bit too claggy.
For me, it's a great difference to this time of year. You see a lot of juice bombs, and it's not this. It's a nice bitter, clean, crisp, cut through with a little bit of citrusy fruitness there, but without being kind of in your face fruit bombs. Because I don't know everyone else, but a bit bored of the juice.
I think it's definitely got its place, and there's something we're making great kind of juicy hazy pales. You know, you've got Polly's as the kind of closest example I could think. You know, friends over there, but we want to make sure that with a beer like this, it's not got that kind of sweetness. It's got that little bit of cutting through.
Excellent beer.
Okay.
Great beer to start with. So what we're going on to next then, Noah?
So next, I thought we would go for this one, which is Impossible to Read Beer List, which is a collaboration that we did for Indie Man last year. We were unable to attend last year because of the pandemic, but as such they still wanted to do something with us, and we wanted to make a 5.5% fruited pale, and all of the colours on the artwork reflect the Water Palace, which is the Victoria Bath in Manchester. So another great piece of artwork from Boneface. Originally in this little picture here where there's a fish, he wanted to put a picture of my face, and I, as much as I love attention, thought that was a bit much.
Oh, is that not your face? Sorry, the fish. A little confusion there, guys. I do apologise. So it's a fruited tail. What fruits are in this one, though?
So this is raspberry and apricot. So it's got quite an interesting kind of orangey colour, but it's got a tartness from the kettle sour. Now we're not able to, or we don't do kind of full-on sours in the barrel. Like again, if we go over towards North Wales, you've got people like Wilderness who are doing a lot of interesting stuff with saisons and sours. But we kettle sour. This has got the Helveticus, the pitch in it, and then Helveticus, which is by Lallemand, and there's a new kind of sour pitch for us. But we added that in, and we're quite pleased with the kind of fruitiness that come with that. But we wanted to.
It smells like a bit like you know, bits of fruit.
Yeah, I get kind of like petit filou.
Yeah,
In those little yogurts.
yeah, the raspberry. What fruit is it?
So it's raspberry and apricot.
But the raspberries come forward.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's, again with the sours, it's for us, it's for me, it's more about it's not meant to be sharp and like kind of puckering. It's meant to just give you that little bit of, you get a little bit of spit like here.
Yeah.
And it's just that kind of thing that just makes you kind of go, oh, that's quite crisp and refreshing. But it's not too much because it's got the sweetness of all the fruit.
It doesn't get you at the back like a real tart sour. It's a gentle, as you say, a little bit in the front of the tongue. But it is a warm, but a smooth fruitiness to it. So it's not like super sour, tangy, like a fizzy sweet.
No.
It's a smooth, subtle sour, so it's very interesting.
But you've also not got the kind of sickly sweetness of just netting back some puree. You have got the sour that kind of brings it through. We also got a bit of melanoidin malt in there as well. I think that helps kind of bring this quite interesting, almost like nutty element to it.
It's a great sour. I'm a big sour fan. It is a little subtle compared to your big hitters, so it's good. It's good for especially if you're switching up between beers. It's not going to kill your palate, is it?
No, it is. You don't want to make a beer that is a palate cleanser, but it is a good beer to have as you are working your way through things. So if you've gone from pales and you want to move on to stouts, we've done a couple of Meet the Brewers where this has been before we started onto like the stout course, as it were. It just gives you a little bit of a as a kind of a base level to go back to. It's reawakened your mouth after being battered by hops, and it's not kind of too cloying either.
So we've had 2 great beers so far. What's with the third, please?
So this is the Keystone West Coast IPA. We brewed this with the Keystone Pub, which is in Liverpool on Hope Street, and it's kind of like the reborn 23 Club. And 23 Club is what used to be this kind of probably the sole kind of craft beer place in Liverpool. And that's actually where I started my kind of home brewing and going to homebrew clubs there, and I met lots of people like Les from Neptune, who's now obviously doing what he's doing, and the guys from Top Rope. And when they asked us to help them with their opening of that, we thought we couldn't really refuse, and it's something we're really excited to do. And it's now going to be one of our kind of semi-regular beers. We thought we'd put it in 750 to make a bit more of a kind of spectacle of it, but we also have it in cask and keg. So
who doesn't love a chunky big bottle? 750 ml.
Well, exactly.
To share, or just to have a good night with 6 of them on your own.
And the guys over at podcast Beernomicon, they have a hashtag which is solo750, which is just open one of these, have it on your own, enjoy yourself.
Looking at the colour straight away, I mean that's they can see that at home. Nice amber colour to that now, would you say?
Yeah, so that's, and although it is bottle conditioned, that's kind of as bright as you're going to get from a West Coast. We wanted to make sure it had a lot of that traditional West Coast vibe, that little bit of caramel in there. We wanted to make sure that it was hopped appropriately, so it's got bitterness. And one of the things that I was reading about when I was designing this was about how to make sure it had the kind of head retention and all those other things, and that kind of little bit of protein body. So we actually put quinoa in this.
Right.
So instead of using carapils to get that head retention, we put flaked quinoa, which has got lots of proteins in it. It's really expensive, but it was quite fun.
And it's good for you, right? It's got
Yeah,
quinoa in it.
it's like
It's healthy.
Yeah, it's like a salad.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers. There we go. Look at that.
That's a really nice beer.
So it's weighing in at kind of 7.3%. So it has got that kind of strength. And as much as I hate it when people say it doesn't taste the strength, I think this is one of those beers that's got a drinkability that's way below the ABV.
I'd go as far as saying it doesn't taste that strength.
Yeah. And if you can imagine this on cask, which we kind of predominantly do exclusively through the Keystone, this kind of kept really well over there in cask, in their little garden that looked out the back. It's just a great beer. It's dangerous. I think one of my friends described it as a thing of beauty and danger.
That is a great explanation. I mean, you've got a little bit of stone fruit, you've got a really piney resinous bitterness to it.
Yeah.
It's a great example of a West Coast.
And with that, you have got all those things, and then you've got that little bit of like kind of the sweetness of the caramel as well, just kind of balancing it out. So it's not too cloying. It's got the bitterness there that's cutting through that, and it's not too kind of tacky almost, because it's got that little bit of caramel sweetness. So all in all, I think it's a beer that we're going to keep brewing. Although it was a one-off, I think we're just going to keep going for it, because it's it's drinking like it is.
It's got a little kind of biscuity sweetness at the end as well, which kind of lingers, which just makes you want to have another drink.
And that's the beauty of it, but also the danger of it. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, listen, that's 3 awesome beers. I'm really thankful for your time and inviting us down here. Just to let the guys know at home, if they want these beers, all on your web shop.
Yeah. So all the beers are on the web shop, including the bottles. We've got all the things that we can post it to you safely. We do next day delivery as a standard, and just go onto the web shop at chapterbrewing.co.uk.
Yeah, we'll put a link below for you guys, so just check out the description below for the web shop and get some beers in your life.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, excellent. Well, thanks for having us, and see you on the next one, guys.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you. You recognise the Yeah, I've got a real tan line from it now as well. It's become a bit, it's almost like ingrained in it.